All right, welcome to the rainy day kit. Let's go over everything that you have in your kit that will help you to make this piece of artwork. You're going to have a 6-inch embroidery hoop, a piece of twine that will go around the back of the hoop if you choose to back your hoop the way that I do. You'll have a bag with all of the colors needed, full skeins, to complete each of this element of this project. And inside that bag, you should find a little bobbin with the copper colored diamante shiny thread for the couple of elements that we use that for. And then you will have the beads that we use in this pattern. You'll have a bag with 3 needles in it. I'm going to take a second to show you these needles. One of them is going to have a bit of a larger eye, almost might even look like a tapestry needle a little bit, or it'll just be much bigger with a larger eye. This one is for when we're using anywhere between 4 to 6 strands. So usually it's going to be 6 that we use if we're using this one. Then there's this kind of medium-sized eye, I call it the smaller eyed needle. This is a size 5 needle, and we use this when we're working with between 1 to 3 strands. Usually that's going to end up being 3 strands. And then you'll have one tiny, tiny little eyed needle. This is your beading needle. This one you'll use when we add the beads on only, otherwise you shouldn't really need this one. So those are your needles. You will also have 2 layers of this is Robert Kaufman Essex Cotton Linen Blend. I think it's champagne is the exact color. This is what we're going to be stitching on. And then you will also have a piece of colorful backing fabric that you will use to put in the back of the hoop to cover up your stitches when we're done. Lastly, depending on what you chose from when you bought this, you'll either have a stick and stitch version of the pattern that you'll peel off and stick on, wash away when you're done, or your kit will come with a cardstock printout of the pattern plus the Pilot Frixion pen for tracing. The only things that don't come in this kit would be a pair of embroidery scissors. You can also just use regular scissors, and then some hot glue or strong glue for gluing the twine on in the back if you want to back the hoop the way that I do. Other than that, we're going to go on now to how to get your fabric hooped and transfer your pattern. All right, if you chose to transfer your pattern with a pen, you're going to take just one layer of the fabric and you're going to lay it down and hoop it just like you normally would. So place the outer hoop down around the inner hoop, sandwiching your fabric in. And then tighten the screw all the way. This one's already pretty tight actually. And pull your fabric nice and tight all the way around so that there is no excess fabric. Getting out any little pieces here. Okay, that's step 1. All right, then you're going to want to get the printed out pattern, which should fit the size of the hoop. And I'm using a cute little light pad here, light box. And I got it from Amazon. It was just like $20. So this is really great if you want to transfer patterns often using tracing. You can also put this pattern up to the light of a window, or I think the iPad also has an app for Lightbox. So I placed a couple of pieces of tape down just so this doesn't move. You're going to take your hooped piece of one fabric, turn it over, and lay it down so that it is lined up. I want to make sure the screw's kind of at the top here so that it's lined up with my design. And then you're going to take your Pilot Frixion pen. This This is heat erasable, so we can draw, and if anything shows up at the end that we don't like, we can take a blow dryer to it and it'll disappear. And then we're just going to start tracing. So I like to do short little lines, like short little sketches, so that I can get it nice and neat on the fabric, since the fabric has got a little bit of texture to it. Let me zoom in a little bit for you. So I'm just going kind of short little lines here. And you're just going to want to trace over every element in the hoop. So instead of trying to do one long line across, I'm just working in shorter little lines to get all the way there. Okay, so you're going to continue tracing until you have traced the whole pattern. So when you're done with the whole pattern, we'll re-hoop it the correct way. Just a quick note on the little plant over here. You can kind of just get these lines going down and then do it as detailed or as not as much detail or as little as you want. Your stitches are really just going to be going straight through here, so this doesn't have to be perfect. I just try to get that line down the middle so that you have the shape of this plant. And then a few little stitches to remind me what I'm going to be, a few little lines to remind me what I'm going to be stitching there. Once you've finished tracing the entire design, you're going to take it out of the hoop and you're going to re-hoop it the correct way. So I'm going to, at this time, lay down my other layer of fabric and then line this one up with the hoop, and then I will re-hoop it with both layers of fabric in there so that I'm ready to start stitching. So once you get that hooped up, we're ready to start stitching. Remember again to just make sure you tighten it all the way around and get it lined up exactly how you want. All right, if you are doing the stick and stitch version for transferring the pattern, you are going to take apart your two hoops and you're going to lay down both layers of your fabric and center them around the inner hoop on a hard, flat surface. Then you're going to, you might need to untighten the screw a little bit to make it fit over both layers. You're going to take the outer hoop, put the screw at the top, and press it down around both layers of fabric so that it hugs around the inner hoop. Then we're going to tighten the screw as much as we can, and we also want to go around and pull all of the excess fabric so that we get this really nice and tight. This is maybe the most important step to embroidery, is making sure your fabric is tight. You don't want to pull too hard that you pull apart your hoops, but you want to make sure that we are getting any loose fabric. We want it to have tension. So I'm working my way around. I'm also going to keep leveling this if it gets pulled. Looks like I can still tighten my screw a little bit because this feels a bit loose. So I'm going to tighten that a little bit more. Okay, go around one more time, make sure I have this pulled everywhere. You see there was a lot of tension left there. Okay. All right, it should sound like a drum, kind of, when you're done. It still feels like it could be a little bit tighter. So just keep pulling. We want it to be really, really tight. That sounds a bit better. It's nice and tight. So as soon as you get your fabric nice and tight all the way around, take your time with that. Make sure it's really good and tight. We're ready to take our pattern. So you're going to peel away the stick and stitch pattern. I have one done right here. And then you're going to lay it down, and it should fit nicely, just covering the area on your hoop. And then we're ready to stitch.